Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Sherrone Moore, this Michigan football program finalizing the coaching staff, heading into 2025, heading into spring ball. Now, most of these coaching moves we've already talked about. Eric Campbell coming back, helping with the wide receivers. Biff Poggi coming back to Ann Arbor certainly fires me up. Juan Castillo as well coming in. I've been a fan of some of these smaller coaching changes that Sherrone Moore has made to the staff. One of the ones I didn't even know happened that I would really like to talk about on this Thursday morning is Pernell McPhee getting the promotion from an analyst to the outside linebackers coach position heading into 2025. Now, essentially, that outside linebackers coach, he's going to be working with their edge rushers. When Pernell McPhee got the job at Michigan 12 months ago as an analyst, I think all of us Michigan fans were very excited, right? Hey, whether you're a former coach of the Baltimore Ravens, whether you're a former player, we invited anybody who was from that Baltimore Ravens tree into this program because Michigan's had a ton of success going to that lineage of coaches on the defensive side of the football. Now, I think the biggest question with Pernell McPhee was, what is he as a coach, right? He was a very good player for the Baltimore Ravens, and it excited us kind of having him join the staff. But you see guys sometimes take the coaching really well, and you see guys really not take the coaching so well as former players. Pernell McPhee, we're sitting here Thursday morning, clearly took the coaching in a big way. I mean, within 12 months of joining this Michigan staff, now is a position coach for this Michigan program going into 2025. I would venture to say that this is a young riser in the coaching industry. And you look at Pernell McPhee and say, one, let's evaluate what he did last year. Josiah Stewart went from, he could have gone to the NFL draft 12 months ago, decided to come back and played his way into a top 100, maybe even top 50 pick in the NFL draft. What about a guy like TJ Guy, who was a reserve player for Michigan his first 3 years? Didn't really hear much of him in terms of if he wasn't playing special teams. 2024, he breaks out and becomes one of the better edge rushers that you saw in the Big Ten. I thought Cam Brand, as a redshirt freshman, also took some massive strides. It's very clear that guys under Pernell McPhee got better over the last 12 months. What I'm most interested in is, okay, he's not going to be one of those official 10 on-field coaches. That doesn't matter, right? With the changes that the NCAA made, whether you're an analyst, whether you're an assistant coach, you can pretty much all do the same thing. So having that official on-field coach tag doesn't really matter. What I'm most interested in is, does Michigan utilize him on the recruiting trail? Because you look at Pernell McPhee and you look at across the country, the coaches that are some of the best recruiters across the country, they look like Pernell McPhee, guys that have played in the NFL, that are still young in their coaching career, have a lot of energy, can connect with these young kids at the high school ranks. To me, Pernell McPhee checks all those boxes. Does Michigan decide to utilize him as a recruiter over the next couple of weeks and months? That's probably something that I'm looking for this Michigan program. Now, I want to do two different things. One, talk about Pernell McPhee, what his role is with Michigan, but I also want to, and this is more of the reason I wanted to do this episode, is let's evaluate the coaching staff hires that Sherrone Moore has made over the last 12 months. This is an important conversation, in my opinion, where you look at new head coaches. One of the most important things about being a head coach is, how are you building your staff? Are you hitting on your assistant coaches and coordinators? We're going to run right through this coaching staff, and we're going to talk about the, kind of what we like and what we don't like going into 2025. Appreciate you guys rock, but to the Michigan fans, it's been such a blast talking this program, and the amount of support y'all have shown the fellas means the absolute world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Gonna be a really fun next couple of weeks talking this program in spring practice on the recruiting trail. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and more importantly, you let it fly in the comment section. We're going to be talking about these coaching staff hires, and we might not agree on all of these hires. And so let it fly in the comment section as well. Appreciate you guys. Without further ado, let's finish up our conversation with Pernell McPhee. And that is what essentially I think is going to look like is Lou Esposito is going to work with the guys on the inside. And I think he's been doing a great job, right? Mason Graham is, and I'm not going to I'm not going to say Lou Esposito was the reason Mason Graham is what he is. Obviously, Mason Graham's been that guy for the last couple of years, but Mason Graham clearly took a step in the 2024 year. I mean, largely was the reason we beat Ohio State this year. Just dominated on the inside. Kenneth Grant got better. I would argue that Trey Pierce, that Inoetta are showing the progressions and steps we need to see. Rayshon Benny had his best season as well. Lou Esposito's doing a great job with the guys on the inside. And I thought Pernell McPhee did a really good job with these edge rushers as well. Now you get into the other coaching change or staff hires, you might say, that Sherrone Moore made. Let's start with the two misses, right? Sherrone Moore, in his first 12 months as the Michigan head coach, made two really big mistakes. He's done a lot of really good stuff, right? I think what he's doing on the recruiting trail and how he's completely revolutionizing how Michigan acquires talent, that's a massive, massive plus. That's not only going to pay dividends in 2025, it's going to pay dividends for the years down the road. The two big misses he had was the offensive coordinator hire, not getting a quarterback in the portal, right? Kurt Campbell was a miss. And at the time when Kurt Campbell got elevated, it kind of made sense. There were so many moving parts, and Kurt Campbell obviously did a really good job with J.J. McCarthy in 2023. Gets elevated after, not really being a proven offensive coordinator and clearly struggles. I think the second one was not going to the transfer portal and grabbing a quarterback that we knew could play. Kind of rocking with that quarterback room in 2024 that's a mistake that's very hard to overcome. And obviously Michigan couldn't in a lot of situations in the 2024 year. You give Sherrone more credit. There's a lot of coaches that are stubborn and don't admit that they made mistakes and have coaches stay when they probably shouldn't, right? I think the best example is Lincoln Riley with Alex Grinch. Probably should have gotten rid of Alex Grinch after year one, didn't. And that really cost Lincoln Riley early in his tenure. I give Sherrone Moore a lot of credit for saying, hey, this isn't working. We got to go make a change. And he brings in Chip Lindsey, a guy that's a proven quarterback developer, which is massive with a guy like Bryce Underwood coming in. Now, I think the fascinating conversation is everywhere else on this coaching staff, you kind of like the hires. I think the one other coach that you probably still have question marks about is Ron Bellamy at the wide receiver position. I think it's okay to let Ron Bellamy get one more year because it's really hard to evaluate those wide receivers with that kind of quarterback play. You've seen Ron Bellamy do a good job on the recruiting trail, and we'll see what he finishes up with in this 2026 class. Ron Bellamy, seeing what it looks like in 2025, I think is probably fair for this Michigan program. Tony Elford at the running back coach spot. Thought obviously Kalel Mullings had a nice year. I'm most excited about the younger backs in that room. Like Jordan Marshall seems like an absolute guy under the tutelage of Tony Alford. And we all know what Tony Alford brings to Michigan on the recruiting trail. And it sounds like from what we're hearing in the 2026 cycle, you might be bringing in two of the best running backs in the country. Offensive line coach. Yes, were there Grant Newsom? Were there some early growing pains that we saw with this offensive line early in the 2024 year? Absolutely. What makes me excited about Grant Newsom is you clearly saw these players get better. Greg Crippen got better at center. Giovanni El-Hadi got better at guard. Evan Link got better at tackle. Yes, it was not pretty the first month and a half of the season. But in the second month and a half, I thought you saw these guys get better. And for me, that's encouraging, right? You seeing guys get better throughout a year makes you feel good about the position coach. And Grant Newsom's young, and he's probably only getting better as a coach. And quite frankly, did a really good job on the recruiting trail. Ty Haywood, Andrew Babalow, and I get that Sherrone Moore played some big roles in that too. In my opinion, Sherrone Moore knows how to evaluate not only offensive linemen, but offensive line coaching. And I trust Sherrone Moore and Grant Newsom going forward. And I thought Steve Kasul did a good job at the tight end spot. Now, you talk about the really big hits for Sherrone Moore. I thought he hired an elite defensive coaching staff, starting with Wink Martindale. And I know that there were even some growing pains with this Michigan defense early in 2024. That back half of 2024, Northwestern, Ohio State, Alabama, that was some of the best defensive coordinator job that I've seen in my history of watching college football. I mean, to stifle an Ohio State offense the way Wink Martindale did. I mean, Wink Martindale had that Ohio State defense in hell pretty much all game. So I like Wink Martindale going into year 2, and it seems like this Michigan defense is as comfortable as they're going to be in that Wink Martindale defense, where the first couple of weeks, there was probably some growing pains where guys, it's a new defensive scheme. And I know that Mike McDonald, Jesse Minter, Wink Martindale, all from that same tree. But guess what? All three of them run defenses a little bit differently. Wink Martindale, a little bit more aggressive than guys like Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter. You saw some growing pains early, but I thought this Michigan defense, the month of November might have been the best defense that we saw in all of college football. Going into year 2, you're fired up about what it looks like with Wink Martindale. Then the assistant coaches I thought were just home run hires. I mean, Lamar Morgan to me is probably going to be Michigan's next defensive coordinator, right? I think we all know as Michigan fans that Wink Martindale, whether it's next year, whether it's in 2 years, is probably going to be moving on to the NFL at some point. As we sit right now, and obviously plenty of things can change over the next 12, 24 months. As we sit right now, if Wink Martindale makes a move, I am guessing that Lamar Morgan just gets elevated to the defense coordinator role, and I would be completely okay with it. What he did in the secondary with the amount of injuries that Michigan lost Rod Moore in spring practice, lost the best cornerback in the country, Will Johnson, halfway through the season, was playing guys out of position, but it was still a secondary that was very solid for Michigan. I'm very big fan of Lamar Morgan, very big fan of Lou Esposito, what he did on that defensive line, and then Brian G. Maria. Look, Ernest Hausman, the last month of the season, was playing like one of the best backers in the country, along with Jay Sean Barham. I thought you saw Jimmy Rolder play well. This defensive coaching staff for Michigan, I think, is elite. The only significant miss that Sherrone Moore made was with Kurt Campbell at the offensive coordinator spot. And to Sherrone Moore's credit, he immediately makes a change and brings in Chip Lindsey. Chip Lindsey has to hit now, but I'm confident that, at least I'm sitting here confident that Sherrone Moore gets it right on the second try. I think you're a big fan of what Sherrone. I mean, if you're just evaluating Sherrone Moore in general, like the talent acquisition is going in the right direction, you can clearly see the culture within this move. We knew if there's one thing we knew, the culture with Michigan under Sherrone Moore is going to be elite. We knew that. Now the rest of the stuff was the question marks, and I think he's got this coaching staff where it needs to be. I think he's doing what he needs to do on the recruiting trail. I can't remember. I mean, I've followed recruiting as long as I've been a Michigan fan. I cannot remember Michigan being in it for as many top prospects as they are and having as much buzz and power on the recruiting trail as Michigan has. That to me is the biggest thing you've seen from Sherrone Moore. You get talent acquisition right, you get coaching right, you're going to win a lot of football games, and I do think that's where Michigan is going over the next couple of years. Pernell McPhee, I think a really intriguing coaching move, you might say, for this Michigan program. Would love to hear how the Michigan fans are feeling about this coaching staff as well. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.